At this moment, we have 22 patients in the United States currently that have coronavirus. Unfortunately, one person passed away overnight.
Breaking news. The first death from coronavirus here in the United States. A man in his 50s dying from COVID-19 infection in Washington state.
March 2020. The Stranger, an alt weekly newspaper in Seattle, publishes its last issue. Now, The Stranger lives on as a website. They have really good traffic numbers. Organic monthly traffic, 352,000 somethings. That's pretty good, but, they still call themselves Seattle's only newspaper. It's not a newspaper. You can guess why the March 11 through 24 issue of The Stranger was their last by the cover art. Big typography, 100-point type, going viral. And there's a picture of a mouse wearing a surgical mask. The subhead is Life in the Epicenter of an Epidemic Trump Called a Hoax. And this pandemic wiped out a lot of small businesses and pretty much was the death knell for The Stranger printing on actual newsprint and distributing physical copies. That's not going to happen again. They had gone bi-weekly. That means, publishing lingo, they're publishing twice a month instead of every week, so they're already cutting back. A lot of their advertising, though, dependent on entertainment listings, and that just all shut down. Full disclosure, I worked at The Stranger. It was great. I loved it. Loved the people. The founder and publisher, Tim Keck, he also started The Onion. Didn't get rich from The Onion. Some people did. It was sold to a hedge fund. A lot of people left The Stranger not liking Tim, but I always had a plan. I was only going to work there a couple years, and I was fully aware of the low pay scale of alt-weekly newspapers. I mean, that's a thing. So if you're bitter about that, get a job on Wall Street, and it'll be a lot less fun, but you'll make more money. So, going viral. Full page ad, page 2. The Stranger's Seattle Wing Week, sponsored by Tequila Correjo and Modelo. Interested in becoming a participating location? Email adinfo@thestranger. Guess what? Coming May 11th through 16th. There was no Seattle Wing Week. Events and adventures. We're looking at advertising now in the final print edition. That's a weird company that hooks up boomers. Ad for live resin. Stranger did a great job of, and as all alt weeklies did in these recreationally legal states for cannabis. Great job raking in that pot money. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson at the Paramount Theater, June 24th. That was canceled. This might be a very short episode. The Stranger's Stupid Pet Contest, canceled. Dervish, March 17th. Seattle Theater Group, Neptune Theater, canceled. So opening page with some jokes. ICYMI, that's a little joke news roundup section. The Pacific Northwest, now rebranded New Wuhan, became the hub of an outbreak of COVID-19, a new coronavirus that is spreading illness, death, and panic both locally and all over the world. The upside is that crowded Seattle gyms have been nearly empty, and you now have a perfect excuse to cancel plans. Local and state officials have suggested that people can work from home. Amazon, Microsoft, other big employers took the suggestion of local officials to heart and encouraged their employees to telecommute. Donald Trump called Jay Inslee a snake because of his approach to the pandemic. And yeah, the jokes fall flat here. Really, the pandemic, the stranger's irreverence and kind of racy jokes, they kind of got destroyed by the pandemic too. It's not as fun. Okay, big feature, cover story, Going Viral by Lester Black. Life in the epicenter of an epidemic Trump called a hoax. And then they count the dead. 6 dead, 14 infected. This is in Seattle. That is on March 2nd. March 3rd, 9 dead, 27 infected. By the morning of Friday, March 6th, the University of Washington announced that one of its employees had contracted the virus and that it would end in-person classes. Now, this is weird, but that guy, he's a doctor at the UW, well-known, kind of boorish, brilliant guy. I met him at a party. So I met one of the first people to die of COVID in the United States. So that's it. That's a page and a half feature, half-page photograph of a morgue trailer. Yeah, okay, the astrology section. Blunt Talk by Katie Herzog. Why Weed and Alcohol Don't Mix. Katie Herzog is a well-known troll and anti-trans person, and the stranger will never live down having hired her. That clearly why weed and alcohol don't mix. Not only is that a lie, but it's trolling for clicks. The call out, it can lead to the spins, puking, and the feeling that the world is ending. I wish those things on Katie Herzog, but she doesn't need to mix alcohol and weed to achieve that. This is funny. On the right side of the page, can't pinch this. It's a picture of a big bud of marijuana. Joint Rivers, open daily. That's a tribe-affiliated pot shop on the Muckleshoot Reservation, and my better half was designing ads for them for a while. Very cool people. Again, Doom Planet, episode 78, The Stranger's last issue. It's an ad for Savage Love Cast. And here's Savage Love. Brownie points. It's about pooping during sex. I admire Dan's brilliance. And I was there to read the very first Savage Love column in the very first issue of The Stranger. And back then, when you wrote to him, you wrote, Dear Faggot. And that's how the letters were printed. Dear Faggot, I have a problem pooping during sex. And then he would respond. So after that first column came out, I thought, this is great, and this could really be huge, but I'm not reading it ever again. Did have to read the first paragraph of that pooping thing. Sex offender registration got you down? We may be able to help remove that requirement. The Mary Who Law Group. Dan was also one of the first people to do a podcast long time ago. In fact, I could have sworn I saw him working on that at the office in the year 2000, or maybe he was just being interviewed online. Some ads for some plays that weren't held. Betty Wetter hosts a variety show, trivia night, and bingo. The entertainment section of this last issue of The Stranger, sort of sad. All the stuff just gone, and the art scene, not the same, still hasn't recovered. Georgetown Bites, A Taste of Georgetown, March 28th, canceled. My Dad Wrote a Porno, the hilarious hit podcast brings its live show to Seattle, canceled by Katie Herzog. Things to do. Concerts. Get high before you see Love Bite at the Fry Art Museum. Canceled. By Charles Mudady. You gotta love him. It's an ad for the Showbox. Full page ad. My partner also used to do those ads. Long after she stopped working at The Stranger, we both worked there. All these shows canceled. Bands I've never heard of, not a single one. SOBXRBE, Peekaboo, Lupe, Fiasco, Watsky, MXM Tune, Chicano Batman. Big ad, full page color ad for American Spirit cigarettes. One of the secrets to The Stranger's success. Sex ads, sex personals, and also ads for prostitutes. But the big winner over the years, cigarette ads. So, your entertainment ads, nightclubs and stuff, those pay the bills. The cigarette ads are pure gravy. This reminds me that a couple days ago on Thanksgiving, Tom Chamberlin passed away. He's a great barfly, bartender, nightlife guy in Belltown during my years there. The cigarette ad reminds me of that because I don't know how Tom died, but he was a big smoker. Remember Heather also worked at the Lava Lounge. Belltown bar, died of lung cancer. Not sure how Tom passed away. He was genuinely a great guy. Here we have an ad for Candlebox. I have to restrain myself from commenting about that band. A friend of mine is friends with one of the guys. I met him. He's a couple times. He's a great guy. A brilliant musician. Not a huge fan of their music. Things to do. Music. This is all canceled. The good thing is that, and this is a public database, many, if not most, of these nightclubs and small businesses got that PPP loan. And it's, as we know, loan is a misnomer. The government handed out billions of dollars, no strings attached, including to The Stranger, who got over $1 million. I think Erica C. Barnett, former Stranger writer and crank, was upset at Tim for accepting a PPP loan. But, why not? Otherwise, they're totally gone. And The Stranger has been an important part of Seattle culture. It's not really the same when it's being run by 50-something people, like people in their 50s, but the magic is not quite there. And again, there's no print edition. I should have grabbed a Stranger news box, the one on the corner from our house. I did end up with a Seattle Weekly news box, which I still have. And of course, their last print edition, they went under long before March 2020. But the headline was, "Does Mary's Place work with known slum landlords?" or something to that effect. Mary's Place is a women's shelter nonprofit closely associated with the Amazon PR and propaganda machine. Things to do, all canceled. Columbia City Theater, canceled. Getting to the back of the paper here. This is sad. Crocodile Cafe, everything canceled. March events at the Aurora Borealis. Jazz. Central Cinema, all those shows canceled. Short Guide to Smorgasbord and where you can find Scandinavia's prettiest pub fare. Well, you won't be going to pubs in March or April of 2020. And some comics. Laugh, that's the second to last page. Laugh while you can. There's a crossword, some comics, and the subheadline is "Social distancing is fun." Back page, all cannabis. Uncle Ike's, Ian of Uncle Ike's, close friend of mine. Know him from my pornography days, internet pornography, that is. And yeah, that's the last issue of The Stranger. I saved it knowing that it was a unique treasure. We'll be back after these messages.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Okay, we're back, and I think we'll wrap this up by examining the golden age of The Stranger, which was, of course, when I worked there. The last print edition, last issue of The Stranger, March 11 through 24, 2020, was 40 pages, but it's bi-weekly, so that means every week 20 pages. And here we have September 3rd, 1998, 92 pages. It's huge. Let's look at some of the stuff in here. On the cover are Music Quarterly. Mudhoney takes an intelligence test. Wonder how that came out. Brilliant Scholars, Mudhoney. Second page. Big ass ad for cool cigarettes. And then you have your table of contents, Last Days by David Schmader. And Misk Media was still running in 1998. That's my buddy Clark Humphrey, who still does a daily email newsletter called Misk Media. I encourage you to check it out. We have ads for tattoo places. City Politics by Ben Jacklet. That's a great guy. I actually met him through my parents. Coincidentally, he moved out to Seattle. He was doing some salmon fishing, and he's also a writer. Last I heard of him, he was working for a right-wing daily newspaper in Portland. Life in Olympia, George Howland. It's going to take forever to... Oh, and I see some of my quirky Photoshop graphic design here. Picnic with her hippie brother. Big ass 2-page spread for Marlboro. I remember they did a staff picture, and there's a lot of people working at The Stranger at the time. And it was fun, drug use was encouraged. Really, it'd take me forever to get through this. The nightclub listings go on and on. Full page ad for Michelob. The owners of The Stranger here, it's like Tim and his buddy Rob, and then to a lesser extent Nancy. Making a fortune at this time. There was a little the .com shakeout happened there. Paper shrank then. Guide to Bumbershoot. This just goes on and on. Full page ads for beer, cigarettes. A lot of material here. If you want to, for something that's free, this is good entertainment. You could just sit down and tuck into this and take you a while to go through it and read everything. I got to skip to the back. And then, a lot of comics. They used to have comics. And a bulletin board on the back page. Classified ads. Craigslist took that away. All right, that's it for this episode. Feeling uninspired. And I just happened to find this copy of the last issue of The Stranger tucked away. If you want to hear more about The Stranger, we did an episode about Erica C. Barnett and her book, Quitter, which is about her alcohol problem. And I did an episode about The Stranger's circulation manager called Captain Skillet Weasel is Dead. Unfortunately, right at about the time I started the podcast and The Stranger published its last print edition, Skillet killed himself. Next time around, we're going to talk about the fraudulent art of polling, specifically Stuart Elway, who has been a respected pollster in the Seattle area, since 1975. And I worked for this boomer. The first job I had in Seattle working for this boomer in a call center and asking loaded questions for Weyerhaeuser. The best survey was, and of course even then people who answer the phone and will respond to a survey without hanging up, it's already going to be ancient white people. They did a survey about right before H.W. Bush launched the first Iraq war. They did a survey for the Seattle Times. How do you feel about the war? If the war happens? And there's even a thing about Saddam's nuclear weapons. Again, this is the first Iraq war. Just garbage. So I'm going to write that. Look into Stuart Elway a bit more. You got to despise these Seattle boomers who think they control the media around here, like David Brewster, founder of Seattle Weekly, and also an employer of Stuart Elway, who works for Crosscut, an online journal of boomers that Brewster started. Okay, we'll see you then. Have fun. Goodbye. And R.I.P. to Tom Chamberlin. He's a cool guy.
Find out more at doomedplanet.com. Goodbye.
5, 6, 7, 8. Goodbye. This is the end of the song.